Joining us now on the Rude, it's clearly a guy they like. On the Rude guest hotline, Rude makes the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. Rude, big fans of our next guest, Mr. Barstool Nate. What's up, Nate, dog? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
We're chilling.
We're doing okay. It's a late practice for Washington as they kind of make their way back from the late arrival Monday night. So we haven't gotten many injury updates from Dan Quinn, but he did seem somewhat optimistic about Jayden Daniels. How important is it to get Jayden back on the field this week against Seattle?
For us, the fans, and for Jayden's psyche and for morale, I think it's very important. For the season, you want to win games. I'm never the guy who's like, let's lose games, get a better draft pick. I want to win every game. There's something great, that feeling of euphoria when you win a game. There's nothing better than it. And it's still early in the season. We're 3-5. We can still make the playoffs. The season's not a wash. It's easy to doom and gloom. I say it every week, JP. You can probably say it with me. If Jayden's on the field, we can win the game. A healthy Jayden is such a difference maker that he masks how bad the roster is, and he can do anything he wants to win a game. He's that good at football. But he needs to be healthy. When Jayden's not healthy, this team is bad. When Jayden is healthy, this team is good. And that's as plain as I can put it, is he is by far the biggest difference maker of a football team that I have ever seen in my life, where he can take a bottom 5 roster and bring them to the NFC Championship game. So, yes, I want to watch Jayden every snap of every game possible, but I want him to be 100% healthy, and I don't think that you have to push it if he's anything less than 90% healthy. We don't have to push it.
Don't you think, though, if he had extra people out there with him, that'll help him be more effective instead of when he's out there and don't have much going on, he's trying to do a little bit too much, what puts him in harm's way?
Yeah, the last time we saw him on the field, he was throwing to practice squad guys. He didn't have his top 3 wide receivers. It's really hard to be an effective quarterback in the NFL with 3 practice squad wide receivers as your main targets. So I would love for him to get extra help, but sometimes the dice roll as they may. But he's still young. He still has a long, great Pro Bowl-filled, Super Bowl-filled career ahead of him. I want healthy Jayden. We know he's still banged up in the knee brace. Now he has this other issue going on. We just need him in a bubble for maybe a couple weeks, get him back, and get the show back on the road.
How concerned are you with more injuries coming out of Monday night? Kinlaw, they said Kinlaw could have gone back in. Johnny Newton had to come out of that game for a while. Laramie Tunsil was not able to go back in. And then top of the list is that Terry McLaurin had to come out and did not come back in.
Yeah, thanks, Buddy Baker. It's bad. This has been a bad compared to last season when everything went our way. Every bounce, every injury, everything seemed to go our way last season. This one's the opposite. It's just we can't stop picking up injuries. We can't stop the fumbles and just everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, and it happens in football. It's just part of the game. It just sucks when it's your team. And through 8 games more or less, that's the story of the Debo fumble on the first drive when we were cooking. That was kind of a summary of how the season has gone. A lot of good things and then a bad fumble. And unfortunately, that is the story so far of the season. I would say on both offense and defense. It's just they haven't really been able to put together a full 60 minutes for the better part of this entire season. And I put a lot on coaching. I put a lot on just the players themselves. I think there's enough blame to go around, and I don't think it's on anyone in particular. I just think some of it's just bad luck, some of it's circumstance, some of it is personnel, some of it's coaching. It's just a big blunder, man. It just is what it is.
Yeah, we asked that question yesterday, wasn't it, Jay? Was it bad luck or team just bad? I said a little bit of both.
It can be both.
Yeah,
I think it can be both, and I think that's perfectly acceptable to be like, hey, maybe Bobby Wagner should not be covering guys one-on-one in coverage. Is that because he's a bad player, or is that because coaching's putting him in a bad situation, or is it a combo of both? I would say it's a combo of both. coaching has to be better to make the players like Bobby Wagner, who, they can't cover running backs one-on-one, don't put him in that situation. It's that simple, but unfortunately, there's not much depth behind him, and I think everybody is doing their best besides Joe Witt Jr. I don't think, wow.
You all right, man?
I don't think Joe Witt Jr., falling apart. I don't think Joe Witt Jr. is the best man for the job, and I've said that for several weeks. But I do think his players, the guys that he's got, are playing as hard as they can for him. It's just his scheme is bad, and the players aren't good enough. And it's that simple.
If the players aren't good enough, how you blame him for the scheme being bad?
I mean, we all watch the game, right, BMitch? When he drops into that soft zone and we get no pressure on the quarterback, and who are you going to take? A Joe Witt Jr. soft zone with washed players, or Patrick Mahomes picking it apart? Guess what? I'm taking Patrick Mahomes to win that battle 100 out of 100 times. Joe Witt Jr. does not make good adjustments, and he get put behind the eight ball with maybe like Marshawn Lattimore, who's lost a step, Quan Martin, who shouldn't be on the team, Von Miller as our best edge rusher. Yeah, like he's not dealing with the best players, but Joe Witt Jr. is certainly not the best defensive coordinator for the job, and I think it is football malpractice that he's still coaching the defense. I think it is a huge blemish on Coach Quinn to allow this guy to still coach the defense when clearly he is not the best guy to coach the defense.
Talking with our friend Barstool Nate here on the Rude Guest Hotline. You give Nate Dogg a follow at Barstool Nate. Check out all his work at Barstool Sports. Looking ahead to Seattle, man. Jackson Smith-Njigba has the most receiving yards in the NFL despite playing less game than a lot of folks. What do you think of this matchup? What do you think of another primetime game?
Yeah, the schedule makers were in their bag when they put Jayden in every single primetime game on the schedule, and now it's coming home to roost. It's unfortunate that we have to keep, treading out, Marcus Mariota on primetime games. That's assuming Jayden takes another week off, which I guess we don't actually know. It's a home game. It's football. It's NFL. I think we played very well in the first half against Kansas City. If we could put together a full game, I think Seattle is beatable. But that's a big if, right? Like, there's a lot of variables that go into that. Can we control the ball? Can we not turn it over? Can Mariota, can Cliff call a better game? I don't think Cliff is getting enough, slack for he had some very questionable play calls, especially, I think it was, we had second and short, and I think we went screen, throw, and then went for it on fourth down and threw that weird, like, Hail Mary-esque pass 12 yards out of bounds towards Terry. I think Cliff had a very subpar game, and to be honest, a pretty subpar season. It's not 100% his fault. I think, losing every wide receiver and your starting quarterback doesn't really help you become a great coach. But I just think everybody, special teams, Jalen, I don't know what he's doing there. He doesn't have hands all of a sudden. I just think every single position, every single side of the ball, they need to step their game up and just play and focus so much more.
Yeah, I mean, Brian and I have talked at length about the lack of blitzing and the lack of trying to force pressure.
It's ridiculous.
It's if something's not working, change it, right? And they haven't.
Yeah.
Now, going to the soft zone prevented some of the big coverage busts, but not enough of them, frankly. I do think, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think the Kansas City game was going to be a really not impossible, but a really tall task anyway. And I think by not getting points early in that game when the defense was playing well and they generated 2 turnovers, really, really cost them in that game. To me, it's like, considering the amount of losses you already have through 8 games, matches what you had last year through 17, it's about just trying to find individual improvements in the second half of this thing. And I think with Jackson Smith-Njigba coming to town, like, you've got serious problems this weekend anyway. I think, like, we talked about, are they bad or unlucky? And the answer is both. And I think injuries are a factor too. I mean, they're just
injuries are a huge factor.
The fact that the DN situation is what it is, where you've lost so many of these guys, and then Payne, Kinlaw, Newton to some degree aren't right. Like the path for them to win games defensively was to generate a lot of pressure up front, and now they're just not doing it. You compound that with the fact that Mahomes is a magician. This week, Sam Darnold is not a magician. Maybe he's better than we all thought from the Jets. He showed it last year in Mini and so far this year in Seattle. But like I find this one to be a different kind of contest. Do you notice the primetime problems? Is that a factor to you, or is that just when the games are? It's just kind of a...
I know what you mean. It definitely feels like they mean more. At the end of the day, it's still a win or a loss in the scoreboard. But it definitely, you don't want to be embarrassed on a primetime game. You don't want your team that you love and you tweet about and you tell your friends about and your family about, and that kind of consumes your entire life. You don't want them to stink. You don't want them to stink in primetime. So I do think the games matter more to fans. Like guy, you pay more for the ticket. You might miss work the next day. It's a whole Monday night, Sunday night games. It's a big thing. So I don't like when we go out and just stink it up in front of the whole country. I'd rather, if we're going to stink it up, like have it be on Fox. I don't want it to be on primetime.
Stink it up at 1:00.
Yeah, the games are based off what you did the year before. So if you want the same, you got to make sure you be healthy the next year.
Yeah, but the getting pressure on the quarterback thing, it's like when you sit back in the soft zone, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback, of the last decade. You can't out-trick him. You can't out-scheme him. So what you have to do is the reverse. You just have to, rush 6, rush 8, get after him, get in his face, and do everything you can to try to disrupt him. I think they showed a stat at the end of the game that he broke his own record for most passing yards with 4+ seconds in the pocket. And Joe Witt Jr. sitting there on the sideline and Dan Quinn sitting there on the sideline allowing this to happen. We're all sitting at home on our couches watching Mahomes pick us apart limb by limb, thread by thread, and I'm screaming at my TV, you got to change something. You got to do something, and they didn't. It was complacency, and overall just pathetic in a way where, hey, we're just going to let them win the game. We're going to let the Chiefs win this game. The punt on 4th down, let's let them win this game. Let's get out of here.
So I asked DQ about that yesterday.
But at that point, what they going to do, man? Let's be real.
That's
now.
what he said.
I mean,
the down
I'm
and
going to be
distance
totally
needs
honest
to be
with you.
feasible.
They did something in the first half, and I don't think they did a lot of blitzing in the first half either. So eventually, the players got to be held at fault a little bit here, because those are the same people that's on the field in the second half. So they wasn't blitzing in the first half, and they were getting pressure on Pat, and they got picks. In the second half, what happened?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's about the scheme or just it wasn't the execution.
Yeah, as we can go around in circles on it, it's a combination of a lot of those
Mahomes
factors.
came out and said, we didn't match their energy in the first half, and we realized that at halftime and came out and were able to get to a higher level. I think we're all kind of right, because it has reached this circular, the players are underperforming, but are they in the best positions to perform? And the players are underperforming, but are they in the best positions to perform? It's reached this circular.
But I ask this question: if you're in the right position to perform in the first half, and you're doing the same stuff in the second half, and you don't perform, you mean the coach got to automatically do something completely to get you in the right position? I understand that schemes are bad at times, but when I see players having success doing the same thing in one quarter, one half, and they're not doing the second half, I have to wonder what's up with their energy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing also, BMitch. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter who you have on defense. He's going to figure you out, and he's going to put together a great game. We hung around the first half, and then Mahomes did Mahomes things, and our offense fell apart. And then we can go back to the injury bug. Marcus Mariota, there's a reason he's a backup and not a starter. The offensive line getting hurt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think just a lot of dominoes compile, and one domino after the other fall, and that's how you lose to the Chiefs. And to beat Seattle this coming up week, you just really have to put together the perfect game plan and execute it perfectly. There's so little room for error. And this team makes errors. This team turns the ball over. This team throws Hail Marys on 4th and 1. It just, there's mistakes made by the players, by the coaching, by everybody that puts them in bad situations. And that's how you lose games, when you don't have the strongest roster. And, if we have Mariota this week, it's really hard to win. It's just really, really, really hard to win unless you're perfect. And this team is not perfect, and they have not executed perfectly.
This team is not perfect, and they have not executed perfectly. I think that's a safe place.
You were more dedicated to Wentz than you are Mariota. What the hell? And he was terrible.
To Wentz? Well,
yeah.
we had no choice. Hey, Ron Rivera looked at the tape. He told us. He looked us in the eye. He said, "This is our guy."
I'm not talking about Ron. I'm talking about you. You were making. You had everything to say good about Wentz.
But the thing is, when we had Carson Wentz, we had no choice but to root for him. What else are we going to do? It's just like, all right, I guess we're bringing in this guy. Let's root our asses off for him and hope a miracle happens. A miracle didn't happen. It is what it is.
Nate Dogg, I did want to give you a chance to talk Caps. Last night, tough loss on the road in Dallas.
Yeah.
I know you've been encouraged overall. They are now 4th in the Metro. I mean, it's so early. They've played 10 games. They played 10%, more than 10% of the schedule. Where are we at for a 6-4 Caps team that's lost 2 in a row?
So lost 2 in a row. The game against Ottawa, maybe the most unprepared, lackadaisical, wave the white flag in the second period game we've seen in 5 to 10 years. That was just a big stinker. And then last night, Caps played well. Just 1-0 loss to Dallas. Dallas is a good team. Great goaltending. I've shouted it from the rooftops on the show. I think this Caps team is very, very, very good. I said possibly better than last year's team that won the East. I'm not ready to give up on that take. I think this Caps team is very, very good. And as for the season's going to go fast. They have that 2-week Olympic break in the middle of February, so games are jam packed, and you see a lot of wacky scheduling stuff, like a lot of back-to-back nights in different time zones. It's just like a lot of travel, and it's going to go quick. And could that hurt us? With our veteran presence like Ovi and Carlson, stuff like that, possibly. But this team did get younger. I think this team is grittier. I think the defense, the blue line is playing pretty well overall. I think they held the Stars last night to 0 shots over like a 24-minute time span. Still lost the game, but it was encouraging at least to see them play that well. So no, I'm not worried about our beloved Washington Capitals. It should be a very fun, very exciting season.
So if you're right, thank you for the time.
I'm always right, JP. JP, if there's one thing about me, is I'm always right.
Yeah,
we know that's a lie.
That's definitely the one thing about you. Thank you, Nate Dogg.
Always early, but always right.
Last thing.
I'll talk to you guys after a win.
Question,
all right?
and you only get to answer with one word. This is our poll question of the day today. The trade deadline is next Tuesday. Should Washington buy, sell, or chill?
Sell if the price is right.
The man said one damn word,
and I said 4.
Yeah, and that's why you gonna have to start listening, or I'm
why
not
I'm
a
the
problem
GOAT.
with you.
Sell if you can get a really
One
good
word,
price.
fool.
Goodbye.
That's all one word. It's all one word.
That's Barstool
Sell
Nate.
if the price is right.
Barstool Nate on the Rude Guest Hotline.